Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining Straight from the Source with David Mitchell. Listen, I have a wonderful show tonight. Listen, this is a legend. I'm not going to take long. He's been in the game for, oh my Lord, almost 30 years, if not 30 years or more. Um, he is known as a play-by-play sportscaster and the voice of the Wright State University men's basketball Raiders. Absolutely. Listen, Wright State University in Dayton, Ohio, NCAA Division I is coming off a 2022 NCAA tournament appearance. And guess what? It took place in Dayton, Ohio, their hometown, in the NCAA tournament's first four. This is going to be an awesome interview. Chris has been doing this, like I said again, for 30 years. And I mean, he's been at one school, one institution. I mean, not his whole career, but you'll hear the story. He's been there for so long with the Wright State University Raiders that obviously he has the key to the city. So we're going to, at least the key to the city of Fairborn. But we're going to get into that. Let me see what else that I want to mention before I bring Chris on. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, listen, I want to let everyone know that this is going to be an informative interview. You may be able to get your notepads out. Maybe you can learn how and why Chris has become who he is as this announcer at this particular beautiful university and institution for so long, and how to get in the field. Maybe he'll give you a tip. Maybe he'll give you some information that you can use to get into this field. All right. So without further ado, let's welcome to the show Straight from the Source, and this will be going out on all social media platforms. So if you can catch us again, letting out right now, Chris Collins. Chris, thank you for coming to the show.
David, hey, thanks for having me on tonight. Sorry I couldn't be with you over the weekend, but we were able to work it out to be here tonight. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you so much for being here. Listen, man, I want to get right to it. You know, I was announcing you, and you got so much here. I got so many notes here for you. Can you explain to, individuals and introducing you to individuals out here where I'm out in the Hampton Roads area and Virginia, Maryland, Washington, D.C., and beyond. What was it like for you growing up? How did you end up in this particular, as a play-by-play sportscaster, voice of the Wright State Raiders? How did one pursue that in your life?
Well, David, I'll have to admit, I'm like a lot of guys. I mean, first of all, I've been 25 years now. I just finished my 25th year as the play-by-play voice of Wright State University athletics. And I really appreciate the opportunity that they gave me. But as I said, back when I was a kid, just like everybody else, I wanted to be a star myself. I wanted to play. All right. Well, as years went on, I got into high school. I figured everybody got a lot taller than me. I couldn't play basketball against them, where they're just so much better. And then I played baseball. So I played baseball. But then once that was over, went into college. And then I decided, you know what? I was in a McDonald's drive-thru, and somebody came through when I was working, when I was in high school. And they said, hey, you have a nice voice. And I didn't have a whole lot of confidence at that time. And I'm not going to go on and on about this, but I thought, okay, well, let me try this. So I did. I got into the business. I was a disc jockey. I did news. And then by the time I came back to Dayton, I spent time in North Carolina, not far from where you're at right now. I worked in Fayetteville, North Carolina during the at a station in Fayetteville. But when I came back to Dayton, I was working on the air at a station that carried the Wright State Raiders. The longtime broadcaster, Matt Garris, passed away in the mid-'90s. He was a terrific broadcaster, and it was the whole Raider Nation was sad to lose him. And then Tom Michael stepped in for a few years, and then they had me do some games on the local cable for the women's games a couple of times. And then when they switched coaches, they were going to switch broadcasters. And the sports information director asked me if I was interested. Sure, I was. So, this was back in 1997. And I said, well, yeah, give me an opportunity. I did. And I've been there ever since, calling Wright State basketball since 1997.
So I'm big on relationships.
Yeah.
I'm also big on manifestation and, surrounding yourself. It sounds like to me, you were in the right place at the right time around good people, and the opportunity came, and you've taken full advantage of it, Chris. Full advantage of it.
I am. Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say, yeah, you're right. Right place at the right time. I was very, very, very lucky, to have that opportunity, and I was going to do all I could to continue in that position. And I've had a lot of wonderful people to work for. The people at Wright State has just been so tremendous to me. And, the athletic director at the time, Mike Cusack, and then Bob Grant, ever since he took over, I think it was in 2007, 2008, since he's taken over. They've been nothing but terrific for me and giving me this opportunity to do something that a lot of people want to do. David, there are so many people out there that want to do what I do, what you do, to be able to because of their love of the game, the love of sports, the opportunity to be around it and have those relationships that you talk about. And I've been so blessed, and I'm just very thankful for the opportunity.
Wow. Your voice. I mean, it's incredible. And to be recognized for that, these days, I mean, let's think about it. Is it patented? Have you gotten a patent on your voice?
No. To be honest with you, I'm very blessed, and I'm so thankful. And I'm a Christian, and I am very thankful to God, for the opportunity and giving me the ability, to be able to do what I want to do. And I've been blessed with a good voice, and it's something I don't take for granted. I want to get better. I want to work. There's more to it than that. There's so many tremendous voices out there. One that comes to mind is Dan Schulman. He's one of the best, at college basketball level and pro sports, but I'm just thankful for the opportunity that I have and the God-given ability that I have.
Now, I guess I need to reiterate that again. Maybe you can't really do that, but some of those phrases that you say, you know what I mean? Certain things that only, Chris Collins, people, because you say some incredible things. And, that's something that if you haven't thought about it, is something that you may even want to think about, because I know that there's individuals. We know that, the Rumble, when what's his name does the boxing and things, and they come out, let's get ready to rumble. He did that, to my understanding, and patent something. So that's something that you may want to think about. You've been doing it a lot, and you got a lot in the archive, so it's something you could probably just dig out.
So, I guess some people call that a signature call, is what they want to call it. But I've never really thought about it. I just call what I see. And sometimes something comes out and they'll say, okay, I can associate that with him. But I really, I'll be honest with you, David, I don't even think about it. I just try to, describe the game the best I can.
All right. I appreciate that. Listen, I got several questions here for you. I'm just going to jump right into it. Listen, Coach Nagy, what is your relationship like with Coach Nagy?
Very professional. He is a no-nonsense type of coach. He is a very, very, very heady coach in regard to this guy knows the game. I mean, he knows the X's and O's better than some coaches I've ever been around. He's a very intense competitor. If you look at him on the sidelines, we simulcast our games at home, so we're actually on ESPN Plus. Plus they have myself and Jim Brown, the former coach. We do the commentary on the games, so you can watch the game and hear the game also at the same time. But you watch his demeanor on the sidelines. He's very calm. At least he appears so. But, I always go up and I'll talk to him about that. He says he's torn up on the inside. All right. I mean, he just has so much going through his head at that time. And he's such a fierce competitor. All you have to do is look at his record, and you can see that what he accomplished at South Dakota State, what he has accomplished here at Wright State. He's a tremendous coach, David. I mean, and I keep it on a very personal level. He's a private person. I mean, he doesn't go out, kidding around. He's not like a Bruce Pearl. He's not out there shaking hands and all that type
Yeah.
of thing, but that's his personality. And the one thing about Coach Nagy that's a lot different than other coaches, you get transparency. As a
Yeah.
player, coach, or whoever that he deals with, he will
Yes.
tell what's on his mind. He just doesn't give you coach speak. He'll tell you something and he follows through on it.
That's incredible. We appreciate you sharing that. I got some more, Coach Nagy, coming up a little later in the interview. Another question for you. How do you prepare for games?
Well, through the years, it's interesting. I'll tell you how I do it now compared to what I did when I started. And a lot of people who still do games now, I used to get this big, giant cardboard paper out, and I would, go ahead and copy the rosters of each team and put down different statistics and different notes about the player. But about 10 or 15 years ago, my younger brother in Detroit, Michigan, he's a computer whiz. So he set up a database program for me. So what I do now is I enter all the teams, Wright State, as well as all of our opponents each year. I put in all the rosters, all the data that comes with it. And then I update from game to game what their statistics are. And then I get the game notes. I get it from the sports information directors, not only at Wright State, but also our opponents. And I go ahead and I put those things in. Now, the game moves fast. So you can't just look down, at your computer all the time. So that after I get all that information accumulated, I just go ahead and I study it. And I try to keep it in my mind and use it when it's appropriate, during the game. So I would say I put in a good 2.5 hours prep time on each individual game.
When you see me moving, I told you I'm into my notes and I have to take them too. I'm with a legend. 2.5. Listen, this is a timeout right now. Okay. You guys, you tune in, you're listening. 2.5 hours of preparation for the voice of the Raiders. I'm just shaking my head. There's not much else to say. I mean, that's just incredible.
Well, I don't think it doesn't seem like it's that long, but I just want to know as much as I can, especially about the opponent, because being around the Wright State team and the players, we have a coaches show every week, so I get an opportunity to talk to the coaches as well as the players. So as the year goes on, I get to know more and more about them, and then I try to get as much information as I can from sports information directors who are very helpful. I think they're some of the most underrated people in sports administration, because of what they.
Absolutely. That's why I had Jim Heath on last night, and Jim, and we'll have Jim back. He's over at Old Dominion University. He was at Hampton University. I mean, phenomenal, well known over here, like you in the greater Dayton area. That's how he is out here in the 757. Really, that sports information go-to guy.
Yeah, ask him how long he does his work. These people work tireless hours.
Yes. It may be from one school coming over to say, like, if he was in our home area, helping out Wright State, if possible. Going over might be doing something you did. You never know. I mean, people don't know that, and that's what I'm here for, Chris, trying to let individuals know exactly what going on with the stats and things like that, with broadcasting, as well as bringing the light to trainers, as well as there's a lot more to it than just coaches and players that make up this great game and sport that so many of us love.
Absolutely, I agree.
Let's see here, moving right along with you. All right, so that's how he prepares for game. That's why he is the legend. All right. Being the voice of the Raiders for so long, I'm trying to see how I can put it. Say 15 years ago, how did it feel? Or let's just say from early on to now, the legendary status, being honest. How does it feel when you go around town? You're in Dayton, you're in Fair, wherever you go around the country, in different places. How does it feel? That's Chris over there. That's the voice of the Raiders.
Feel very humbled, actually. I really enjoy the fraternity that we have and the radio broadcasters in the Horizon League. They like to poke a little fun at me all the time, call me the dean of broadcasters. I
Yes.
told him that I'd just been around a lot longer. Other guys took off and went somewhere else, and have done very well for themselves. But, I enjoy being around it. I enjoy being around my family. That's why I decided to stay here. I didn't want to, branch out and try to go anywhere else. But, have a lot of fun, with a lot of these guys. And because they understand, what we go through, because it's not about us, it's about the program itself, the players and the coaches. And, David, I'm going to kind of veer off the highway here for a moment because the game has changed right now with the transfer portal.
Oh, yeah.
And it has really come home to hit at Wright State. If anybody watched that game against Bryant, the first 4 game at UD Arena, Tanner Holden, who put up, 36, 37 points in that game, he is now an Ohio State Buckeye. Yes. He put himself into the transfer portal. Reportedly, he was going to stay. From what I understand, I've heard from some people that maybe his parents wanted him to stay here because he has a great foundation with his family. They didn't want to be loyal to the school that brought him the opportunity to play college basketball. But hey, you know what? I can't blame the kid. From what I understand, name, image, and likeness. He's going to get paid. He's going to do well. He's a great kid. He went to his teammates, I heard, and his coaches, the administration told them before he made his decision. That's a classy individual. But my point being is it's changed. The mid-majors right now, I really feel bad for the administrations and the fans of these teams because you get to know these players, 3 or 4 years or whatever, and they could end up leaving. And what really has hurt, not just the portal, David, it's the fact that the NCAA allows you don't have to sit out a year. That has opened the floodgates for a lot of these individuals to, go anywhere they do. So why the Power 5 schools right now, and this is my opinion, why do they have to really put a lot into recruiting anymore? They don't have to. All they have to do is look at stats, look at video of these players who do well in these mid-major leagues. And if I need that, I'll go get it. It's free agency in college basketball.
Chris, since we there, I was just giving you your flowers. We're going to work our way up to that. But listen, me and you we hanging out. And listen, we can throw Grant. I want to make sure I pronounce his name correctly. Grant Bazile. We can throw him in that mix too. When you lose a Tanner Holden 6'6", you lose a 6'9" Grant Bazile. You talking first team, and I think player of the year. And then I think Holden, he made the Lou Henson All-American team.
Yep.
For mid-major college basketball. How can you take away 2 all-league first teamers as a mid-major, as we label it, and come out on top? You have to go to the portal. You have no other choice. I feel the same way you do. It's really so subjective because we know for years coaches move when they want it, but now we let the players move, but it's really seem like a governing body too much there other than they're in, and they can go back to school if they want, but then the actual school, to my understanding, has the choice to even accept them at that point back if they put themselves in the portal and want to come back. It's changed the high school game. I'm doing 3rd through 8th grade grassroots. My second camp is this Saturday. I'm trying to put kids into contact with Christian schools, junior colleges, the Wright States of the world, anybody that they're open enough to change the narrative that you have to go to these big schools to get recognition, because as we know now, you don't. And if you want, the key is that have your parents not pay for the education. At least that was when I was coming up. But now a lot of them are just trying to jump to the league, and we understand it's a very small percentage that'll ever play professional sports. So I want to give the kids the truth, Chris, and be about helping the kids and the parents learn about recruiting, because a lot of them just don't know. They're out here and everybody feel their kid is going to be, able to go to Wright State or wherever. You have to go to a school that's the best fit, in my opinion. You have to go. Are they going to look out for you? And, you make a move, whether it's up or whether it's down. What can we do until they change it? All we can try to do is help these kids, I think, learn that up here you can go to Hampton. You can go to Norfolk State, who went back-to-back NCAAs recently. You can go to ODU. You don't have to even go to Georgetown. I mean, it's just it's a lot that we can do to help. And the freshmen are being pushed behind. You got a medical red shirt, and I'll let you talk. There was a freshman. Then he became that second year, COVID hit.
Yeah.
So now he's a junior in his third year, but considered a freshman in eligibility. I'm going to let you take over the voice. What do we do?
Well, that's a great question. What do we do? Because the NCAA, supposed is a governing body over college athletics, but they obviously are concerned about lawsuits. All right, and the right for individuals to move from place to place. Coaches do that. These players do that. I think it ultimately is going to come down to what you had talked about. Kids, what's the right fit? What's in the best interest for you and what you want to do. But then you have a situation like Tanner Holden. Like I said, you talk about class. You talk about a wonderful family that he comes from. But like he said, well, it's business now. Okay. And if that's the way things are going to be now here, coaches are going to have to be wary of that. I think there needs to be some restrictions put on this because from the coach's standpoint, okay, you don't want to be here. You got something better, move on. Okay, great. But I have to fulfill a roster, for my next coming season. There has to be this cutoff, and we have to move on from this, because Wright State, I'll be honest with you. Yes, they lost their top two players, but I'm confident with Coach Nagy, his staff, the cabinet's not empty. All right.
Yes.
It's not. They have a young man named Trey Calvin, a junior guard coming back next year. Tim Finke. They played outstanding in the tournament, at the end of the year. They were instrumental in this team's run towards the end. Calvin hit the winning shot, to win the Horizon League tournament over Northern Kentucky. They've got some kids who sat out 2 years. Brandon Knoll is his name. He's a 6'8" forward, excellent mid-range shooter. They worked him out. He's going to be slow coming back because he hasn't played in 2 years, but they're very confident he can be a player. And Coach Nagy, again, his track record shows you he's able to develop players. Not every kid coming out of high school, hey, I can go to Michigan State. I can go to Indiana. They're not all like that. They can't all go to the NBA, like you said. It's a small percentage, but if you come to a school where you can be developed and become a better player, that's what they can push. And I think that's what they can do for these kids. They're going to be fine.
Man. We, like I said, this is something that, we can talk about, and I just love talking sports with you. We can just talk forever.
I know.
Because it's a major issue. And you got right into it before I was just going to lead up into it. It's big news. It's big news because if those guys would have returned, I'm looking at it like this. I know now, it's nothing but the money, but the bottom line is if that chemistry would have stayed there at Wright State, could have potentially had the number one team, obviously in the Horizon League, but obviously, young enough team to make a run for several years, because recruiting would have just continued to pile up as they made the NCAA tournaments back to back. I just fearful. And, this was my first thought. I said, wow, with all of this going on, soon as we at Wright State reach this level where we think now, we've had success. We've been in NCAA 4 times. But this is look like, Coach Nagy, 5 straight trips to the finals, right? Conference finals. And then you talking about, we're getting in there now. And it looks like it can be like almost like regularly. But we lose our 2 top players that had played. So I'm hopeful with you. You really giving me a lot boost of confidence with this interview. I can tell you that much. And this is what this is about, straight from the source, having information on here that's pertinent and informative. And because Wright State, you talk about the facility, the Nutter Center. Yeah. I mean, you talk about having you in there play by play, and we can get into that. I mean, the difference from, like with the color commentary versus not having that and all of the different things. And, you know about it all. So when an athlete comes there, Jim Brown, Coach Brown, been there, come on, back when I played.
He's the legend, David. He is the legend.
Yeah,
He's great to work with.
Coach Brown, I know I have had the invitation out to him. I don't think he's gotten back to me on that, but he's always welcome to come on the show. I mean, a true legend, absolutely indeed. And your partner on the show when you guys are at the game. But listen, do you have the key to the city of Fairborn? This is another question.
No, I unfortunately I don't. That's okay though. The people out here at Wright State have been terrific. In fact, they surprised me at the end of the season. They had me out at halftime during a break, and they honored me for the 25 years that I've been doing basketball here, and that meant a lot to me. And to be able to look out into the crowd, I had no idea they were going to do it. And to see it, people got up and stood and they applauded, and that means a lot, David. Because you try to do the best you can at what you do. And if people appreciate that, you feel like, it's like, hey, I've done something good here, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm just happy that the fans for Wright State, appreciate what I do and give me that opportunity.
Well, you have. You've done a whole lot, and we know that you're appreciative, and you're definitely worthy of any type of award you get, 20 years, 25 years, and 30 years coming up. Oh, Kenny Baster, appreciate you chiming in. Kenny said, tell Chris he's the Walter Cronkite of Ohio basketball.
Thanks, Kenny. I appreciate that.
Just want you to know. And I also wanted to state that Kenny said that, a lot of times and that's what I'm here for. I'm trying to let these kids know the grass is not always greener on the other side.
That's exactly right. No, you're right. And they have to find out for themselves. I mean, let's say, you go to college, you're out of high school, you have to learn a lot about life, and you learn those life lessons on your own, because it's not only just coaching, developing as a player. And, and yeah, maybe I'm being biased or whatever, but I really like what Coach Ncaa does. And to see his kids when they're, they come to the end, as seniors or whatever now, juniors or whatever, when they decide to leave, how much they have grown, mature as a person. You give them a lot of credit, but then again, you give a lot of credit to the coaching staff and what they've been able to accomplish. But, good luck to them when they go somewhere else. You don't know if you're going to fit in.
Yes, that's so true. It's so true. It's so true. Now, what is your relationship? And one thing good, it's really smooth sometime when the guests, you go into a lot of my questions already. So let me ask you, what are your thoughts? This is how I was going to ask the questions, basically on your relationship with the legend, Jim Brown, Coach Jim Brown.
Oh, that's right. He is the coach. He has been there since the start of the program. He was an assistant for so many years,
Yes.
Different coaches, but mostly with Ralph Underhill.
Absolutely.
Ralph's running Raiders, as you well know.
Yes.
What a team that they had. They won a national championship in Division II back in the early 80s. And
Yes.
I think that the best part of me working with Jim, he's such a sincere, humble man. He's very opinionated. Okay. He knows a lot about basketball. That's obvious, but to be able to share the stories that he has with me, and we've worked together now for about 8-9 years in a row. And I don't hear the same stories over and over again that you think you might. He always has. And the people that know him, we go to different cities, and I see people coming up for the game. Hey, Jim, Coach Brown, how you doing? And he knows all these people. It's unbelievable, the relationships that he has had with others. And he just absolutely loves the game of basketball.
Absolutely.
He appreciates it, and I just hope we're not going in that direction where the love isn't there of the game itself, but of the money. I just hope not.
Yeah, me either. I'm like, I want to help these young kids. I'm teaching them the fundamentals. I know the game you can't even reach anymore, or it's hard. But the bottom line is, I feel like if you learn the fundamentals, no matter what, it's going to carry you in basketball.
I know you were you were a good player. You're a real good player when you played ball.
Yeah, I appreciate that. The one thing you never lose though, Chris, is that shot. I can still shoot the ball. And I can teach the game. When you come from up Ohio in that Midwest, and you was reared in the 70s and that 80s, and you done been through the night, I feel you get that where you know defense, okay? You
Yeah.
also know how to score the basketball, but we think the basketball game so good out of the Midwest, and always we're never ever afraid to mix it up,
Yeah.
with anywhere around the country. So I think our fundamentals was what we were taught, and you go way back. Individuals who come up in the Midwest, really good fundamentals. What's the benefits for you? We know it's so many benefits. Obviously, working with coach, but what's the benefit actually explained to others of working, with a color analyst?
Well, I think what Jim adds is so helpful because he helps describe exactly what is happening. I'm telling people, what's going on at that time, but he'll explain why it's happening. He'll see things that I don't see. I follow the ball,
Mm-hmm.
and try to see as much as I can and describe what's happening. But he is able
Mm-hmm.
to explain and describe, how it happened. And you need somebody who really knows the game, like Jim does, to be able to disseminate that information to people, especially when we're just on radio only, because you only have so much time, and I
Mm-hmm.
let him go. I want him to get his point across because, I respect, what he has done, in college basketball, high school level. He was a successful coach at Northmont High School,
Yes.
college game for a while. He sent some players on to play football overseas, and
Mm-hmm.
also to big colleges. So, I just show respect to him because I know what he can offer. And I think that's what makes, our broadcast, I think good to people, and they appreciate what we do.
Absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that. In terms of see this next question I wanted to ask you here. Um, okay, yeah. Here, let's talk here for a moment. Now, play by play. And I know you're gonna be humble here, but that's something, it's a difference. I don't know if you really want to explain it, but play by play is not for everyone. Everyone just can't, do play by play. What is it about play by play sportscasters? You know, is it a little bit more that you have to learn? I mean, what is it that you have to put into it? Because I know, I've spoken with several on my show broadcasters, and they've said when you do play by, it's something special about play by play. I'm just gonna let you take it because you're the expert.
Well, there's a difference between doing television and radio play by play. And I will start, with radio. First of all, I try to put myself in the position of a listener. Let's say somebody's out driving around listening to a game. First of
Mm-hmm.
all, they want to know what's going on. So you try to give the score as much as possible, the time, that's left, who has the ball, and keep it as simple as possible. Because I think in my mind, think of it as a casual fan, not somebody who knows all the different aspects of the game, because that's something Jim can talk about when we have an opportunity, to tell why something's happening. But as far as broadcasting play by play on the radio, you paint a picture. You try to tell people what's going on at that time because people come and go at the time on radio. And they stay with, and you have to know when to be excited. I think early on when I did games, I got so excited because I was so happy to do what I did. But now you have to know when to be excited. What part of the game is it exciting for? To keep people captivated. Just because somebody hit a 3-point basket with 2 seconds left on the shot clock, in the first half of the game, it's like a 10-point game or whatever. Don't get too excited about that. You
Mm-hmm.
have to feel the flow of the game. That's
Exactly.
so important. And you as a player, the flow
Yes.
of the game. So if you do
Yes.
those things, those basics, you should be successful at it. Now, if you're doing something on television, people are seeing things. You don't have to describe as much.
Yes.
You're more of a commentator. For a play-by
Yes.
person, just make sure you identify the person. Get a key stat. Have a conversation with your color analyst.
Mhm.
And that in my opinion, that's what makes you successful in that area.
Wow. Y'all heard it right here on Straight from the Source. I tell you, Chris Collins and broke it down. I'm telling you, this is great information here. This is great information here. Let's see here, Chris. I got plenty of questions here for you. I got some more stuff here for you. Now, in terms of, I'm gonna name a few people here. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Ralph Underhill. Ralph Underhill, what's your relationship like with Ralph Underhill?
Well, Ralph unfortunately passed away a few years ago.
He
had diabetes.
Rest in peace.
Yes, and he and Jim were so close. I had an opportunity to meet Ralph. Now, Ralph obviously wasn't the coach when I started doing games, and Ed Schilling was. And I did have an opportunity when Ralph came back to a few games to talk with him. What a gracious man. What a wonderful person. And I've got to know more about him, in talking with Jim over the years. He, again, loved basketball. He was a fierce competitor, and what he did for Wright State, putting them on the map by winning the national championship in 82, 83 is just amazing. What he was able to accomplish, and the people here at Wright State, who have been around the program for a long time, they know what Ralph Underhill means to Wright State basketball.
Yes, salute, Coach Underhill. That must have been like right before the pandemic or something, somewhere in there.
If I remember correctly, it was, I believe, between 2008 and 2012 at some point at that time. Yeah.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Coach. I'll tell you, rest in peace. Always. I mean, that basketball back then, it was Division II. It was national power, Division II.
Yep.
Wright State ranked every year. And that's where we can see Wright State basketball getting back to in this Horizon League. I truly feel that if we can get individuals who would come to Wright State, stay at Wright State in this day and age, we can get kids to stick together. Those are the teams that generally make the long runs in the NCAA tournament these days. Kids to stick together. It's not the young teams. It just generally seems not. Look at, Kansas. Kansas, those kids, those wasn't freshmen.
No.
Even North Carolina reaching as far as they did, those kids wasn't freshmen. You had freshmen, but they had some veteranship in there, so that's what we're hoping that we can get our schools back to, is kids that want to get, and I'm going to be out here trying to keep the mindset that they need to stay in school somewhere for a minute. It can work for you.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's see. On that coaching staff, let's see. I just wanted to give a shout out over there at Wright State. Also, the coach, Travis Trice. Hopefully, he can do something phenomenal and get us some nice local talent over there and beyond at Wright State University. Wanted to speak a little bit on Coach Nagy as well, Coach Scott Nagy. A lot of people don't realize, I think he's got over, not 600 wins yet, but in his career, he's got like 500 and probably 50 some odd wins overall in his career. And obviously, like you mentioned earlier, he has done wonderful things, Chris, out at South Dakota State.
Yep.
And other stops, but and he comes in with that even from Illinois with a bit of that sprinkle of that Lou Henson background in him.
Yep.
So he's obviously a phenomenal coach, and he's been doing a wonderful job. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give Coach Scott Nagy and staff the praise as well when I got the voice of the Raiders here on the show, straight from the source. So we make it to the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
Can you explain a little bit about what it was like, the feeling at school, the team? Just give us a little bit about the ride and when you found out that it was going to be right there at the first four in Dayton for the NCAA tournament.
It was a whirlwind. It really was. They put themselves in a position where they were a top 4 seed. And with the tournament format in the Horizon League this year, you're a top 4 seed. You had a bye in the first round, and just excuse me, it just seemed to work out because they were able to win the Horizon League tournament, and they beat the teams ahead of them, the teams that they had to beat. They beat, a 5 seed, they beat a 1 seed, they beat the 3 seed, to get the Horizon League tournament championship. And I think that gave them a lot of confidence, heading into the NCAA tournament. When you look at it, they ended up a 16 seed. Let's face it, this is, I can't remember a Horizon League team or MCC, which was known as before Horizon League, the 16 seed. But this worked to their advantage because, they were able to play in that first 4 game here at UD Arena in Dayton. It was packed, a tremendous atmosphere. They beat a very good Bryant team out of the NEC, very good. It was a very competitive game, but Wright State, what a tremendous game they had because of the confidence they gained from winning that tournament, at least in my opinion, and then they won that game. And the way they won that game, the first ever NCAA Division I tournament victory for the school, it was historic, and they know that, but that, David, it was crazy. We went to the airport 2 hours later, had to get on a plane, take, a charter jet out to San Diego, 4 straight hours. We get in there at about, was it 2 in the morning or something like that? And it was like 5 in the morning back here. You get up, you go to practice, you go through the routine. The next day, you get ready for the game. You play the game against a huge Arizona team. I mean, they were big. They were outstanding basketball team. And they played well. They got it down to, I think it was 6 or 8 points in that first half. And at one point, but then Arizona took off and went on a run, and they ended up losing the game. But hold your head high. They played well. It was a historic win. They came back home. And I think everybody was excited until, the transfer portal hit and they lost Grant Basile as well as Tanner Holden. But then again, hey, you know what? You build, well, you've heard this term a lot, David, next man up. So somebody else is going to get an opportunity, to fill those gaps and be a member of the Wright State Raiders.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, I know it was memorable. I mean, even though, we lost to Arizona. I mean, Arizona, I know, was one of the younger teams like University of Dayton out there in the country, but so big with so much talent and highly ranked. Wonderful experience for the school, for the players. Would have liked to be on the winning side of that one. I was pulling that first, like you said, Bill, it had me. I was in that first half. I said, oh my Lord, we keep going and we getting what we want, but we came up a little bit short. Never forget in your career the defeat, defeating Bryant, in the NCAA tournament. And I'm sure you got plenty of pictures and memories that you can take from that win. 4 NCAA tournaments for Wright State University men's basketball Raiders in the Horizon League located in Dayton, Ohio. Right here talking with the voice of Wright State University men's Raiders basketball, Chris Collins. Take me down memory road a little bit, Chris. Let's go to a little bit more recently. 2018 NCAA tournament. Can you tell me a little bit about that particular year?
Yeah, there was a very talented team. I think it was no surprise that Wright State was able to win the Horizon League championship, beat Cleveland State in the tournament final at the Little Caesars Arena up in Detroit. What a fantastic venue that is. That was the first time it was held at the Little Caesars Arena, and they'll always have that to remember. But had to take on a very, very good, well-coached Tennessee team, and went up against a juggernaut, and they played extremely well. And that game was never really close. Wright State had open shots in that game. I do remember that, but just couldn't knock down some shots, and it's unfortunate because they had some great competitors on that team. One guy that comes to mind is Grant Benzinger. He was the most outstanding player in the Horizon League tournament. His father, of course, played with the Cincinnati Reds, Todd Benzinger, and several other major league teams. But he was a tremendous competitor, and he gave it all, in that game. And, we felt for him. It was kind of like, okay, we got here. It was great, but you want to accomplish more. And that was the difference between then and this past year. I think this team knew, and they gained so much confidence that they knew they could win that game against Bryant, and they went out there against Arizona thinking, you know what, we can win this game. You know, it's
Yes.
so different. And I think the more times you experience something, I think the more confident you feel. So that's what I took back from 2018.
2007.
Yeah, yeah.
The
No,
Butler win.
that was my first taste. Doing Wright State basketball to get to the NCAA tournament. I was on cloud nine. Coach Brad Brownell came in. He took over for Paul Biancardi. He had some good players, and he brought a couple with him also to go along to blend in with that team. They got off to a slow start. They were 4 or 5 games under 500, but as the season went on, you could just see this team building and building and building. They played so well at the end of the year, and they had the game against the Butler Bulldogs to where they were able to host the tournament. What happened that last game of the season, Wright State lost at Youngstown State. Everybody was hanging their heads low because they thought, oh no, Butler's going to beat Loyola, so they're going to get home court advantage in the tournament. Well, we were going home. People were following the score. And when Loyola upset Butler, we knew that we're going to host the tournament at home. And there were people going crazy on that bus. I mean, they were low from losing at Youngstown, and they were just cheering. You think we won the game, because they knew, okay, we're at home. We can take these guys. Well, it ended up they played Butler in the finals. They got down 10-2 early, and a player, I don't know if you remember, Deshaun Wood.
Yes, the guard.
Leading scorer at Wright State.
Yes.
He just put the game over. He put the team on his back, came back, and they came away with that win, and then they went to the tournament. And unfortunately, during Selection Sunday, I was sitting next to Coach Brad Brownell, and when they showed up there on the big screen, Wright State University, I think it was 14 seed, taking on number 3, Pittsburgh. And at the time, Pittsburgh had a 7-footer and 2 6'10" guys. So that was the worst possible matchup that they could get. Sure. And Coach Brown just kind of looked over him. He goes, he just shaking his head, but he goes, all right, we're going to get ready for that game, go play. And they played hard. They got down early. They fought back and used all that energy. And then in the end, they just got worn down. It was up in Buffalo. And that season, that's when 2 teams from the Horizon League went to the tournament. Butler was in another region, but they played in Buffalo also. They won, and I think they got to the Sweet 16 that year.
Absolutely. I mean, tremendous win for the Raiders in 2007 over Butler.
Against Butler. Yeah, it was a great game.
Now, when Wright State first initially went to the NCAA tournament, I believe it was around 1993. Yes, it was. And you're going all the way back to the likes of Bill Edwards.
Yep.
And what is it like? Do you get a chance to ever see? I've got some of them listed, and I know I'm going to miss some guys, but, the Bill Edwards, do they come back over to Wright State? The Vitali Potapinkos, what a career, him and Bill. What about Mark Vest? And you mentioned you said Deshaun Woods, and you had Rodney Benson, and it was Loudon Love in recent years. I mean, Deshaun Wood, the names go on and on and on. Duggins, hold on.
Vaughn Duggins, yeah.
Oh, my Lord. I don't want to miss him.
No, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yes, absolutely. All-time scoring list. Yeah. Do you see any of those guys, and what's your relationship, and what do they do for the university?
They're terrific. I mean, Vaughn Duggins, for example, he was at in Indianapolis when we played the Horizon League tournament. He was there with his wife and his 3 kids, and they were rooting the team on. They were all there. They were all in. I saw him earlier in the season. They came to the regular season game against IUPUI, and he was just terrific. Great support. All these other players. I saw Deshaun Wood in Detroit a couple years ago. They come up, big smile on their face. They say hello. They remember, and that means a lot to me. And Jim Brown, I mean, let's face it, he's been here forever. We go places, and they love this man. They love what he has done for them, not only as a basketball player, but helping them mature and move on to whatever their life's work has been. And in fact, Vitali Potapenko, we were in Cleveland, and I believe it was 3, maybe 4 years ago. He was the assistant coach. He's with Memphis now, but he was with Cleveland Cavaliers. And he made a point to come out of the locker room. It was the day we were off before we played Cleveland State, to come out after the game to talk to Coach Brown. We were out there on the court talking with Vitaly, who got his tickets to the game. And you could just see his face light up. He and Jim are very, very close. They stay in contact. And I had a chance to talk with him. Very, very gracious young man, and has grown so much. And he speaks very good English now. At the time he went to Wright State, he's from Ukraine.
Right.
He didn't speak the great English like he does now. But Bill Edwards, he's been by a few times. But to say, a lot of these guys, they enjoyed their time there, and they know what it meant to them. And it's always great to see them. I was in Fort Wayne, saw Keon Brooks, his son, Kentucky. Keon's like you are. He's working with the kids, helping kids get better and teaching them the game of basketball. And got to salute him for that. He can just see the passion. I can see the passion with you also.
Yes, I appreciate that. And is he in Kentucky still?
Keon, yeah. As far as I know, I think he might be. I think the other day, I'll have to check this. He might be putting his name in for the NBA draft.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me see here. Now, when you look over here and we talk about the future, and I wrote down, I listed, like I said, I know you've mentioned some names already. I've got a 6'9" freshman. What's going on with the kid AJ Braun? Is he's coming back? Everything looking good with the freshman returning?
Yeah, he is. They plan to have him redshirt this year, but due to injuries, he had to play.
Right.
We were down at a tournament. He had to play. So he has gotten better. He's a true freshman. He's going to hit the weight room. He's got a great touch around the basket, a great basketball IQ. And like I said, with Coach Nagy and staff working with him, developing him, I think he's going to be a valuable contributor to this team.
Tim Fink, 6'6". I think a redshirt junior.
Yep.
Looks like he's going to carry a lot of the load next year. He can shoot that 3 ball. What's your opinion on his role for the Raiders next year as a leader?
Exactly that. As a leader, he's a transfer, and he's from the state of Illinois. He not only he's really, I think, the heart and soul of this team. He can shoot the 3 offensively. He's talented, but his defense, he always draws the top score from the other team. And he just is relentless defensively. He plays a lot of minutes. He's a terrific athlete, and he's going to be one of the top players on this team this coming season. And he will be one of the leaders.
Well, he's already one of the top defenders in the league.
Absolutely.
But so I like you mentioned a couple other players, I believe, along with Fink. If we can get now, obviously, what do we have on the table? How many scholarships are open now with the 2 leaving? What's the total?
Well, they have 2 coming in, and Tim Finke, he's, he, like I said, he'll be a redshirt, junior. I think he has 2 years left. But there's also Trey Calvin, who I'd mentioned earlier, who I thought really played extremely well after our Florida trip all the way through the end of the season. He'll be a senior guard, next year. Plus, he could have a COVID year if he wants that, but we just take it year by year. But there are 2 young men coming in, both of them wings, 6'4" out of Fairfield High School in Southwest Ohio, Logan Woods. Logan Woods, very unselfish offensively, I've been told, a tremendous defender. He's long, you need that defensively. And also he played on the Fairfield team that lost in the regional finals to Centerville, who was a runner-up in the state. And then you have a young man named Dre Carter, was a 2nd team All-Ohio from Westerville South in the Columbus area.
Yes.
Tremendously gifted offensive player. 6'7", they list him at as a wing. Probably needs to get in the weight room a little bit. He's young, but from what I understand, he can he's just a talented scorer. He can also shoot the ball well from 3, in addition to, getting inside and mid-range jump shots.
We're going to surely need some firepower with what we've lost with, again, an All-American, you got 1st team all leagues and player of the years and such. I'm just so excited to get next year started already and see exactly what we're going to do for the Wright State Raiders. So what's your favorite arena? As we start wrapping up the show, like did you know, like we know, Wright State don't count, but I mean, like you like where you've traveled, like where or somewhere else that you have done play-by-play, or just arena you was looking at a game in and viewing it, you just say this one, I just something about the field, I love it.
Well, call me old school. I've been to those NBA arenas for the NCAA tournament, and also Little Caesars Arena for the Horizon League tournament. Outstanding new venues. But I guess if you have to ask me, being from the state of Indiana, I still love Hinkle Fieldhouse. Wow. Hinkle Fieldhouse has just something about it. It's basketball. I know they've done some updates there, but I miss doing games there. But when we were at the Horizon League tournament, the people at Butler allowed Wright State to practice there the day of the championship game. And it just brought back a lot of memories walking through that old place. There's still a lot of the history there. They got a brand new scoreboard. They've done some new seating in there. But then again, I really enjoyed doing games there, and hopefully have an opportunity to do it again at some point.
Wow. Now, when you mention Hinkle, for those, that's Indianapolis, the famed Hinkle Arena. Now, am I correct? I believe they've already petitioned, or is it already inked that this is it? The NIT is going to be held at Hinkle for 2023.
I've not heard that, but that would be outstanding. I'd love to see that happen. That would be great.
Yeah,
now, Butler is rehired. Butler rehired their old coach, Thad Matta. He's back as the head coach at Butler now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to keep an eye on that for the NIT. That'd be awesome.
Oh, absolutely. I'm telling you, I'm pretty much sure that's pretty much going to be in the works. If it's not for, I believe it's as soon as 2023, because I believe this was the last NIT game that's going to be played out at Madison Square Garden, at least for the Final Four. And I believe they're moving the Final Four for the NIT. It's going to be at that famed arena. So,
good choice.
So that's something that we're gonna keep a good eye on.
Good choice,
Chris. In terms of, I cannot let you go without at least getting your thoughts. For those that listen, and I'm really hoping a lot of my Daytonians are listening to this. And Wright State, what a program! University of Dayton. Yeah. What a program.
Yeah.
We don't know why we can't just shake hands and let's get the ball going like it was when I was younger and I was a kid growing up in Dayton. I mean, why can't we have, if you want to call it, if we've gotten to a point where we want to say, we can't really say rivals because we hadn't played enough. I don't,
Right.
I'm gonna leave it up to you. You've been there forever. What's the talks in the air?
The last time these two teams played was my first year doing play-by-play for Wright State. So it's been 25 years. All right. Now, should they play? Hey, yeah, I think they should, but that's well beyond my, decision making. I have nothing but respect for the University of Dayton. I know 99.9% of the people I've talked to from Dayton have nothing but respect for Wright State. In fact, the way that the fans came together at the UD Arena, for the Wright State win over Bryant, I thought that was terrific. I mean, 13,000 people in a tremendous atmosphere at the UD Arena, and the people there treated us so well and with a lot of respect. So, there's no hatred, there's no rivalry. But as far as, just from my own personal standpoint, and a lot of people here, it's like, it'd be great to play the game.
It sure would. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, you're talking the Nutter Center over 10,000 plus. We got UD Arena sitting about 14,000 or so.
Right.
I mean, there's no way in the world that it could not be a fantastic home and home back. We're gonna sell out. That's just a no-brainer. Either way, we're going to sell out. But
right.
I just think it would bring so much joy to the city. You know, who cares? You know what I mean? It's a win-win situation either way because, but that's just my opinion. I think it'll
Right.
be a win-win-win for the city either
Right.
way. Hopefully one day, your Raider fans and Flyer fans, we'll have that great, game. It's bragging rights in the city, man. I'm just gonna talk for basketball. We former ballers, It's bragging rights in the city, and it's just something you want. Just want to say hello, Matthew Miller. Shout out. He says shout out to the legend Chris Collins. Great stuff. Absolutely.
Well,
man, but it may not ever happen.
Nope. No, and you know what? And I wish them the best. They had a great season this year, Dayton, and they got a young team, and they should be very, very good next year. In fact, some of the preseason top 25, they have them in the top, I think, 22 or 23 teams next year. So, of course, we know that can change, injuries, teams, whatever. But, they have a great nucleus coming back.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are young. I think the first or second youngest team in all of basketball. Like I said, versus I think Arizona was the other school. Coach Grant doing a phenomenal job. And Malachi Smith and Kamara and Holmes inside, and the wings, the whole team and their bench. They're so good if they can just, again, we talking about what? That portal. If these kids can just stay there and we can keep them together, here it is with Dayton. They can make a very, very long run next year in the Ncaa Tournament. And I see them also being ranked preseason top 25, just like the way too early polls. I have them being ranked as well. Listen, Chris, is there anything else that you're doing, like in your life that before we get out of here, you can mention like what you do for fun? Is in your leisure time, you just like to travel? Do you get away from the game and play some golf?
I wish I did, David. I have a full-time job where I work at WHIO Radio here in Dayton. In fact, I probably have to get out of here soon because I have to get up at 2:30 in the morning. And I work with the play-by-play voice, the real legend, Larry Hansgen, who does the Flyer games. He and I
absolutely.
He and I work together, in the morning on the morning news. So, but as far as, what I'm doing without the games or whatever, like I did tonight before we went on, I enjoyed spending time with my grandkids. And my two granddaughters are playing softball. One's a freshman in college. The other is a freshman in high school. And I was able to do the PA, for their game tonight. So much enjoyment out of that, to be able to be around her. And she, gives me a little smile, and she says, "Thanks, Pop. I appreciate you being here and doing the announcing."
Absolutely.
That means more to me. It's just a lot of fun to be around them, and
the small things.
I enjoy it.
Well, listen, you guys, man, it's just been a blast, having the legend, Wright State Raider, the voice, Chris Collins on the show, stopping in. And, again, we'll talk again, off camera, and we'll be in touch. But listen, phenomenal career you've had. It's all about giving you your flowers, while you're here, not waiting till you retire to let you know that you're the man and that you're the legend, and you've done very, I'm proud of you. When you walk around Dayton and Fairborn and the greater Dayton and area, and when you go home to Indiana, you can hold your head high. You can always be a Hoosier, but you done came to the Buckeye State and made a name for yourself as well. That's something that you can always, and we know Indiana basketball. I never let you go to work. I better get off here. We be talking about, I got some Indiana stories we're going to just talk about later.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
That sounds good, Dave. Hey, I appreciate you having me on, and, thank you for all the nice comments. I appreciate it very much.
All right. I appreciate you. Listen, you guys, you stay tuned for more broadcasts. We are going to have the other show that you may have tuned into yesterday. Had some technical difficulties. We're going to pull that and we're going to reschedule that. We're going to have Jim Heath back on here, sports information director. As you heard, Chris, they're so underrated, and we're going to let you know all about that fantastic career. Chris, thank you. You take care, and God bless you and your family.
Thank you, David. You also. Appreciate it.
Be blessed. Bye-bye.